Hey everybody, welcome to this week's live stream. I hope everybody's doing great today. So we are going to be doing the turning of the interference experiments. So we did some pretty crazy stuff, putting different stuff together with interference powders last week. And I think the blanks are looking pretty darn good. We got some pretty cool results. So here's the overhead view. Here are the blanks. I'll just pull these little small stacks out. They all kind of look about the same. So this one was pretty interesting. This one we did, let's see here. I got to look at my notes. We did, what do we do? Interference red with beetle blue. That was an interesting one. And we got, we got this purple color. We did interference gold with black. That was really interesting. I actually want to try black with other colors because the gold, we got like a darker gold. Like that just turned out really, like that's actually a pretty wicked way to get that that color gold. There are like eye candy's got darker golds available, but I got to be honest, like this is easier, and you can tone or like tune in, like fine tune what kind of gold you want if you did a little bit of playing with it. So that was a pretty big breakthrough on that color. And then we did interference violet with the chicken egg blue. And although I don't know that you can see it necessarily. Oh, how about we put it on the right? What's going on here? Huh. Casting. Huh. I think my camera froze. Hold on, guys. There we go. I don't know what was going on there. My camera wasn't working. Okay, so here's the blanks, and I was like pointing things out. So anyway, let's start over. We got beetle blue with interference red, and I think we got this kind of purple color in here, which is really nice looking. And then, like I said, interference gold and with black dye, and that just toned down. That one was the most surprising to me. I don't know why. I technically, if I would have thought about it, but I mean, compared to like the interference gold color, like that was interesting. And I don't even think, I think you really got to watch how much black you put in there. I think it could get really dark really quick. And then anyway, the last color was the chicken egg blue. And when I was mixing it up, you really could see a violet. So we did that with interference violet. And you could really see that interference kind of glow coming off of the blue. And you can see it. It's a little bit subtle. And I was saying before that one of the issues with putting that with this beetle blue thing that looks kind of violet is it almost, I think it's going to be, we'll see when we polish these, but I think that if there was no other violet color in this, I think that would stand out a lot more, that effect. But anyway, really happy with these guys. They turned out good. And then this one, look at these crazy blanks. Goodness. Okay, so we did, and these are only 3 colors each. All right, so I'm looking at my notes. We did interference green with like a lime green pigment. So like an opaque pigment with the interference green, and that really turned out really nice, like a light kind of a light lime green kind of color. So that's cool. And then we did no-con blue with interference blue, and that just the interference blue just kind of toned down the no-con. I would say that was probably the least exciting out of all these. It'd be like adding white or something like that to the no-con. It just lightened it. It was okay. I mean, it looks good. It's a good color, but like the effects, there's lots of different ways. That's not anything spectacular, I don't think. And then, let's see here. The ghost red with translucent, like the Alumilite dye red, and that looks great. And that's like the simplest one. You add the Alumilite translucent dyes in with like any color really, and you can get, I don't know, it's more vibrant. That's the easiest way to put it. Like if I take Yamagata red, and this isn't even just an interference powder thing, but it works with any powder. if I just take Yamagata Red and I add translucent, you know, the Alumilite dye, this is like one of the old bottles, but Alumilite's just red translucent dye, it's gonna be way more like in your face. Like it really like kind of brightens it up and makes it look really good. And so you can kind of do that a little bit with many colors. You can add a little bit of translucent dye, kind of thinking like, well, you know, you guys know that I add the Alumilite, the violet, to the color shift powder, the Blurple. And that just, I mean, that's crazy. So that's one. If you added like a dark color like that violet to interference powders, it's gonna like zing. Like it's gonna really rocket ship that stuff. A lot of times I'll use like an ocean blue, the translucent ocean blue, with blue powders, but you know, you get the idea. You can add translucent dyes to mica powders and that, or interference or any of those types of things, and it really kind of brings out even more color. So it's pretty cool. We got some pretty cool looking blanks. So let's see here. Did I have any questions? Is anybody saying anything here? So before we move on, I got a couple quick announcements. Most of you probably know about it, but so going to the overhead again. So I decided to go a little bit of a different route on kits today. You guys might be like, whoa, who is this guy? So we are going to do, this one's going to actually be a bolt action kit. I haven't done one of those forever. So yeah, you know, like the little bolt action gun kind of kit thing. I got a lot of those, and I haven't made one for a while. And then on this one, I decided, I actually saw, I'm pretty sure next Wednesday, Turner's Warehouse, that whatever they're doing, they're using Tiny Giant kits, and I was like, oh yeah, I got a couple of those. So I pulled out a Tiny Giant for this one, and it's a cheap kit, but it's a really good pen, you know, like a good kit to have or whatever. Good kit to make a pen with, let's say, especially for how cheap it is. And it's capped, and like, you'll see, it's pretty cool if you haven't seen the Tiny Giant before. So we're ready to turn a couple pens. Should be pretty fun. I'm really looking forward to seeing, you know, we, oh, that's not the right. Put it in the right. Oh, that is maybe the right. What's going on here? Okay. I'm looking forward to seeing how these turn out. And I think the big thing is the, like, polishing these. I mean, everything looks fine when it's a blank, but once we get in there, I did kind of swirl up a little bit on the insides of these things just using a straight stick. So a little bit of swirl. Mostly more of a pulling action with the straight stick as opposed to the hooked one. This isn't necessarily a blanket statement for everybody that's casting. You know, I think there could be differences in, you know, like when you pour stuff, what you put in there. So, but I tend to find with the way that I pour, the resin I use, all these kind of things, if there's a hook on the end of the little stick when I'm, you know, put it in the mold, I usually get more, it pulls it around more, around the blank more. If I just use a straight stick that doesn't have one of those little hooks, I find that it kind of pulls, you know, it does kind of swirl them, but they're more of a pulled swirl kind of thing. So, you know, it's like less swirl, let's say. So anyway, let's see here. Everybody's in the house today. So announcement time, as everybody probably knows, Turner's Warehouse open house is next week. So if you're going, I'll see you next week. I don't know what the schedule and all that kind of stuff is. I wonder if they have that up. See more info, yep. Yeah, okay, so on Friday, the main event is Saturday. Friday there's like a, I think, oh, I guess you can come. I think there's something was like a, RSVP. Okay, so the Saturday morning cartoons is early, but you can RSVP to show up to that. That's what it was. On Friday, it starts at 11 a.m. and goes to 2, I believe. No, goes to 5. And Saturday is 10:30, or I don't know when they open. A little bit confusing. I'm not sure when you're supposed to sign up or show up. maybe 9, but you can't, I don't know. Anyway, Saturday's the main event day. Friday, Jason from Stuart Batty Tools is doing a little bowl turning, and Curtis is doing his. If you guys are getting into stabilizing, or you have questions about it or any of that kind of stuff, definitely tune in or show up to the Curtis Seebeck presentation, because he knows everything about stabilizing wood. And then Saturday morning cartoons is going to be doing a live stream, and then I'm going right after them. And then Dan from Stainless Bottle Stoppers, he's doing some, I'm guessing probably some kits from Stainless Bottle Stoppers, doing a little turning. And then Emily Ford is doing her thing, aka She Turns Wood. She's doing bowl and platter turning. So this is going to be a serious event, guys. Like, if you can make it out, if you got time, if you're in the Phoenix-ish area, I think they're technically in Gilbert. If you can make it out, it's going to be a good event. It's free, totally free. Like, you pay for these kind of things, right? I mean, I have. So, pretty cool. And there's also a couple of other things. So, Iron Rhino Forge is going to be there doing kind of demos, like at a booth type thing. So, if you want to see some metal fabrication stuff, a little bit of forge blacksmithing going on. AWA must be the local Arizona Wood Turning Association, something like that. That must be the local club. And then, oh man, So Amazing is going to be out there. I'm not sure who's coming from So Amazing. You'll have to let me know. And they're doing Lathe Buddy stuff. And then Mr. Jim is doing carving. That's awesome. I actually didn't even know that. And then there's also the dog rescue thing that's out there. And then also Easy Wood Tools is going to have a booth out there doing stuff. It's going to be awesome. I'm just letting you know. So get your plane tickets. If you last minute plane tickets, go get them and come on out. It'll be really awesome. So, oh, there we go. 10 a.m. is when the store opens. Perfect. That's going to be cool. So, and then next week, and of course, if you can't make it out, they stream all the things that are going on. So you can just log in on the Turner's TV YouTube channel. I'm going to go get a link to that. I don't know. I can't imagine that anybody here doesn't know about or hasn't subscribed to the Turner's TV YouTube channel. I think it would be a big mistake if you haven't. So go and subscribe right now so that you get notified and all that kind of stuff when they post all these things. And I think they're going to probably have replays of this stuff if you can't make it live. But I would recommend coming live if you can, because there'll be interactions going on. It'll be fun. So, all kinds of stuff going on. Now, I do have links before we move on to the turning part. I do have links. Let's see, I'm going to copy. I got links to the bolt action pen kit that I'm doing. They're also already in the description. But if you want to go check them out, here's a link so you don't have to even do anything. You can just click there and go check them out. And that's the Tiny Giant. So those are the two pin kits that we're going to be working with today. But I think that's about it. Let me just double check and see what else is going on here. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. It went to an ad just when I said your name. Oh, no. I was just saying, I'm not sure exactly. Are you both coming out? Ah, okay. So you're coming. Nice. Well, I will see you next week. We're looking forward to it. And Gretchen's coming too. So it should be a pretty fun trip. Fun event. All right, so let's head over to the lathe. That's not the right camera. Let's do this one. I want to turn this bolt action pen kit first. Let's get this red guy up on the lathe and spinning. So we'll get this guy mounted. I think I got the dust collector already set up. Get that thing kind of right there. And I'm going to crack the other vent. It makes the dust collection suction noise a little bit lower. Get the thing, get my tool rested. Dust collection, eye protection, turning tool, and I think we're ready, guys. Let's just make sure that we got a good camera view here. It's looking pretty good. I think I can go up a little bit. There we go. Maybe down just a hair. Oh yeah. There we go. And then, last but not least, I'll get my phone up so I can see the chat. We will not be the same without Roman. That is true. But it's going to be great to see you. Roman's going to be on a cruise ship. Oh man, you better tune in from the buffet or the shuffleboard or whatever you're doing. Get these fuzzes out of the way. They're just turning like butter here. Buttery smooth. I'm not even going to stop the lathe in the middle. I want to wait and see what the results are once we get this thing turned down. Getting closer. Okay. Just about there. Need to touch up the ends. Just a little bit. smoothing pass, kinda. And let's see what we got here, guys. Ooh, that's wild. Zoom it in. Look at that thing. Wow. Now, I didn't paint the tube on this one. I would probably do that. The red seems like it might be a little see-through. We'll have to see once we get it polished, but I think it's going to be a little bit on the see-through side. I don't know if it's going to be like bad, where it's going to look not good, but I think it'll be somewhat identifiable as the tube under there. Let's just see though. I think it's going to be kind of obscured, honestly, but let's see here. And actually, I'll be right back. I'm going to go get a fresh bucket of water. This thing's seen better days. We don't want dirty water. Let's get that clean, good water. Get this thing polished up nicely. All right. Got us some good clean water. I'm going to get some fresh sandpaper pieces. These things are going to be polished to perfection. All right. There we go. Let's see here. The camera froze again? Uh-oh. Huh. What is happening? Well, that kind of sucks, guys. Is it really frozen? Hold on a minute. Let me just double check on my... yeah. Well, the turning went really smooth, guys. That's what I get for updating the software before we started. There it is. Might be having problems with cameras. This is why we were talking about it last week. This is why I wanted to get just the one of those like camera switcher things, because it handles things better with the signals. The way that I'm doing it is not great, but like I said, there's an issue. And we were talking about like the HDMI USB thing, and people were like, well, I'll just do this thing. The problem is they have things that convert it, and they cost about $300. I can just get a new camera. So I'm like, I'll just do a workaround for now. But if this doesn't solve itself, if I keep getting camera freezes, I may have to do something different. What am I doing? Let's see here. So, getting some fresh sandpaper. Everything's just messing up, and I'm taking my concentration. Okay, so we're going to start with 600 grit, and we'll go through the grits to whatever the gray one is. Starting with real sandpaper first here. Can I start over? I'll just glue all the shavings right back on. I turned it that quick. It was just so fast you didn't see it. Yeah, I know. Honestly, some of the video and streaming, like things, you can do things very cheaply, but they're not particularly great. And it's fine, starting out or whatever, but over time you get different equipment and all these different things, and it really adds up depending on what you do. And since I don't really get any revenue, I don't really make any money from YouTube. It's kind of hard to justify spending money on new streaming stuff and equipment. All right, that ought to be good. Give it a little side to side. I usually wipe off after the silicon carbide. That one's more aggressive and there's just more swarf kind of. I usually don't really wipe off anything in between these polishing pads because they're just taking off a little bit less. And I also kind of have the feeling like, I don't know, I'm sure the particles do kind of break off a little bit, but I'm a little bit more worried about the coarser grit particles and the type of particles that are on the silicon carbide. I don't know if it's really something to worry about, but I dip the thing in the same bucket that I use for all the grits too, so I don't know. Who knows? Probably makes no sense in reality. These are not regular, they're TBC bushings. I don't know what you mean by regular. They're not mandrel style bushings, they're the TBC. All right, here we go. And then we'll do a little bit of gray, and then we'll do some magic juice. Yeah, I don't know if not wiping hasn't seemed to be detrimental to me. Between these two grids, like I said, I for some reason I just do typically wipe off. Although on some of the practice blanks, or not practice, but the test blanks that I've been doing for the colors, I'm like, whatever. And really, I haven't noticed the significant difference in those either, so I'm not sure if it really matters. Like I said, I'm still dunking these these pads in the same bucket of water, so not really sure that it makes any difference. As long as it comes out polished, whatever. Okay, so give it a little wipe here at the end. And then we'll move on to the magic juice. I'm really digging these colors. That green is a really nice looking color. I really like toned down that lime green. And but it, you get, and this is the interesting thing. So you can add. I want to make one thing clear. You could add just like any mica powder to a solid, like the opaque pigments, and you're gonna get pearl. It depends on how much pigment, how much of the liquid pigment, the opaque stuff you've got in there. So you got to kind of play around with things. But I mean, you can just add mica powder to in the cup with a liquid pigment and get a pearly result. I will say that the Shide, S-H-I-D-E, or the micro pearl, that's a pretty good way to get kind of the same effect or whatever as these interference powders. And I would say that the interference powders are kind of that fine particle, similar to the micro pearl. So it's not particularly surprising that I got that result mixing those two. You can get a very similar result as far as the pearliness goes if you just added the shide or micro pearl. But once we get this all polished, where the interference powder would be different than just micro pearl, we may see a little bit of that aurora, whatever effect that interference powders create. I'm just not 100% sure. I mean, there's definitely that effect going on in the robin egg. So we'll just kind of have to see. And once you get things polished, because of the way the light's hitting it and everything and reflecting, you may get, I have a feeling we're going to see more of that type of thing once we get it all polished up. But it may just kind of depend. In the case of this lime green, it's a pretty light color. And so we may not get as much of that, possibly. I'm speculating, but you may not get as much on the lighter end of the spectrum with the, dyes and stuff that you've added as compared to if you did, like a darker purple or something like that with it. But, robin egg blue is really, really light too. I mean, it's actually lighter probably. I don't know, similarly light, I guess, but as the green was. So I don't know. It'll be kind of interesting to see how this goes. And what did we add? We did an interference green. So I'm not really seeing that kind of the glow effect, I guess, is what it is in any part of this blank. Not particularly. I don't know. Because even after step 1 with the magic juice, I gotta be honest, guys. I've literally seen pens, like for sale, that are like, you can just hit it with this step 1 and walk away, and like it'd be the same as some pens I've actually seen for sale. But we got 5 more steps, so we can really turn up the heat on these things, get them really glowy, shiny, let's say. All right, here we go. I went a little overboard on the magic juice on this one. Whoa! See, that's why I use paper towels, guys. That number 2, it's always getting me. Number 2. I think I'm going to do that one. I'm going to do another quick round with number 2 because that was kind of cut short by the wrap up. Probably didn't help that I put way too much on. Yeah, and actually you're talking about adapters for bushings. So tbcbushings.com is where you want to go to get those. They're game changers. Because like if you've got like an entire set of the standard bushings for like the mandrel, I mean, my recommendation is if there's like a certain pen, if you switch over to the TBC setup and you're looking at all these bushings, that you're like, oh, okay. So I'm supposed to replace these. You don't need to replace them all, but what I would recommend doing is if there's like certain pen kits that you make a lot of, I would get just get the replacement, replace your mandrel bushings with the TBC bushings in those ones that you use a lot, and then for all the rest of them that you just, every once in a while you turn one of these kits or whatever, just use the adapters. That'll save you money, but the true TBC bushings are going to be a little bit more true. They're going to run just a little bit more, a tiny bit, fraction more true. And so in the long run, you're going to get a little bit better results if you don't have to pile up a bunch of different bushings together. I think you're going to get better results. So for things that you do a lot of, then just go for the TBC, but everything else, just use those adapters. And so you basically pay for one equivalent of like one set of bushings, and you can use it for all of them. It's so great. And like, although you could have Brian over at TBC make custom bushings for any kit, but back in the day, there really weren't, that wasn't necessarily an option. There was only so many TBC bushings available that, you know, people had made. And so the adapters were the only way to get certain kits, you know, turned with bushings. Okay, so step 4. Give it a little wipey. Man, that is looking good. Like I said, I'm not sure that red is awesome. Red, blue, and green. I'm just trying to look at this thing. I don't see... I'm not sure that I'm seeing a glow. The blank looks good, but I don't know that we were getting an effect of any type. I think I'm gonna just try, yeah, I don't like that. Never mind. I'll just shut my mouth. Okay. Let's see if there's any questions. Yeah, it does look like rainbow sherbet. I love it. Yeah, Brian does excellent work. His bushings are the best on the market, for sure. And being able to order whatever, anything, because he's got quite a few, but you know, it's not like he's, you know, there's a ton of pen kits, and he can make whatever custom ones you want, and so that's helped out a lot. Getting the step 5 going here. That one always seems to be kind of dry or something. All right. Got our step 5 done. And we'll finish up with some step 6. Definitely shiny. Ooh. Where did my other piece go? Here it is. Step 6. Whoa. That step 6 always comes out really fast. All right. Should be good here. Let's let's see. So Treasure Maid is asking what color would I paint the tube? I would probably, you could go either white or black. The black may pop some things a little bit, like that darker. I'm just not sure exactly, but typically darker colors kind of pop the interference powders a little bit more. Same with color shifts. So you may get a little bit more effect if you went with a darker color, but I don't know in this case. I mean, I would actually, so there's like a little bit of that kind of glowy effect in the blue. I don't know. Like a little bit, but it's really not, it's not like obvious. Like I'm not sure that it's significantly different than kind of a standard mica, which I'm actually a little bit surprised about on these. Yeah, there's a little bit of the interference effect going on. In the red, I can see it's got more depth than like if I just did like a mica powder, I think. And there is in the green. It's doing some things. It's just but it's not the same like interference, like that glow that you get if you got like a big lump of interference powder in your blank. Kind of has this like glowing effect. But it looks good. I really like the colors. Like I said, I think that we're gonna get more of those, of the like effects and things in the other blank, hopefully. I'm very, very curious to see if we get a glow, that violet glow coming off of the robin egg somehow. And I couldn't tell you why that seems to be really popping in that one. I really don't know what the difference is with the robin egg or, you know, whatever. So we'll have to see when we get it done. All right, so I'm just going to wipe off the ends. There's usually a little bit of polish in there. I'm going to set this guy aside, and it'll be ready for assembly in a second. Still haven't gotten the stuff because I'm still waiting for Turners to get a couple things in stock before I place a bigger order, kinda. So I'll get the new pen press eventually here. All right, so let's get the lathe buddy out of the way. It did its job nicely. Get our magic juices out of the way, and let's turn this other one. I'm very, very interested to see how this goes. Very interested. It's got some I think the reason I kind of like this one better is, I mean, it just has unique colors in it. It's just weird colors, you know. I definitely would not be like, oh, you know what I need to do? Just put a dark gold with chicken egg blue and purple. And so this one we went a lot more like opposite colors, kind of, I would say. You know, we didn't put like blue with blue and green with green. We kind of did this opposite color thing, and that may be the reason why we're getting slightly, except for the gold, it's not really like an opposite color, but that may be the reason why we're getting slightly different looks on this one specifically. I'm really excited to put this tiny giant together. It's going to be cool. I haven't made one of those for a while. All right, I'm going to take the gloves off because the gloves, while I don't think they're dangerous in any way, I do find that they kind of hang up on the tool rest. And that, in the past, even on the stream, has caused me to get like a weird, funky thing. I don't like that. Let's see, are there any other colors? All right, so let's make sure that the camera's working. Gotta double check. It's just ridiculous, guys. Although I will say, I'm pretty baffled by watching certain live TV things, like how, I mean, there's literally people in like their basement, you know, garage or whatever, that can do live broadcasting like flawlessly, pretty much. Like, I mean, super ridiculously high quality. I'm not saying that, that's not what I'm doing, but there are people that do live streams and the quality is so ridiculously good. The audio, everything's perfectly timed and everything, and they got, I mean, maybe they have help. A lot of times they're doing it on their own, and sometimes I'm watching TV and like, it's literally a broadcast corporation is just fumbling through live TV. And I'm just like, you have like $1 million worth of equipment and an entire staff, and you guys are still messing things up. Come on. I will say equipment does cause problems, but good Lord. You know? Especially if you're paying for it. For the, you know, like some of the channels you have to pay for, and it's like, could you figure it out, guys? Come on. Maybe you should just get a webcam. Maybe that'll help. All right, Tiny Giant. I might actually, what does the kit look like? Hold on a minute. I got to look at the Tiny Giant kit because I might make a fatty. Yeah, okay, so it just does that. I might actually put a little bit of shape. So the Tiny Giant kit, you can see the bushings here are very thin. So you're gonna be taking off a lot of meat, and I could sit here for days taking off meat, but I think what I'm gonna do is, I'm trying to think what I might put a little bit of shaping in this, or just make it kind of fat and bring it down at the ends. This would be a pretty good kit if you've got stuff that you've like cast, like kind of bigger chunks of glitter or something like that, and you wanted to see it more. I think that this would be a good kit because the bushings are so small, you can leave, you know, you'd have to make it kind of like a fatty pen, but you could leave a lot of blank left. Just looking at this, might kind of play around with something. One thing I don't really like doing is putting a bunch of beads and all that stuff on because it's so hard to sand and polish that kind of stuff that I'm just like, ugh, not very fun. Yeah, I might just make it a little bit, I might bring it out and make it a little bit wider than the bushings. Kind of what I do anyway, but actually I think I got an idea. Sometimes you just gotta start cutting. And the shape that the pen needs to be will just come out. Hopefully this will look good with the kit. I don't know. We will find out if I have made a disastrous mistake. Oh, Chris, you're going to the thing? Oh, Mid-Atlantic. I see. Cool. That'll be a fun one, too. You definitely do a good job. Kind of a funky pen. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it yet. Alright, I'm just trying to make sure that this thing's kind of fairly, no weird bumps along the way. I think that's pretty good. We'll have to see how this goes, I don't know. Alright. What do you guys think of this weird pen? This may be really horrible or it may be kind of interesting. I don't know. Let's see what we got. Oh, that's pretty good coloring. Wow. I definitely like the coloring. Still not sure about the shape. We'll have to see when we actually get it on the kit. I think I need to do a little bit of trimming with the detailer on the end there. Just kind of nip that thing off a little bit more. But overall, happy with that. So let's see if I can just kind of clean this up just a hair on the end. like that now. All right. Let's do a little bit of sanding. Which end is the? It's gonna go this way, I think. I think this would be weird. I would have. It's fine. I could have done that, but I think I would have had to put the bulb, the farthest diameter a little bit further down so you could actually hold on to the pen. So it'll be like this. That's what I had in mind anyway. Like I said, I'm not. We'll have to see. When we start putting this together, this may not really work with this kit. I don't know. I'm the type of person that has to just do something, put it together and go, nope, or yep, that was okay. And once I do that, usually the second round, I'm like, okay, I know what I need to do now to make this amazing, or just not so dreadful. Okay. Let's get this thing polished up. I'm anxiously, awaiting seeing what we get here with this, because it really had a lot of interesting stuff going on in the cup when it was liquid. So we'll just have to see what we got here. Now on this one, all the colors, I think, and I didn't really change like the ratio or anything like that. It's just, it looks like all the colors are really pretty opaque. Like I don't think you really have to mess with the painting the tube. We'll see. I always wait to really judge something until when you get it polished, then you tend to be able to see through deeper into the blank. So I'm not a conclusion yet, but based on preliminary staring at this thing, I don't think that. Definitely. I'll just say this: the robin egg, you're not seeing through that, and the gold, you're really not going to see through that at all. I don't think. The only thing where there may be some areas, if you got a big zone of the beetle blue, possibly you could see through maybe just to the tube. Even on that other one though, it's not like the tube was like prominent. Like where there's a problem with seeing the tube, I think, is if it's too see-through, too transparent, then it's just obvious you see the tube. So there's like a transparency thing, but a lot of times if it's not like the brass color, that can be the problem a lot of times on these like a translucent kind of blank where you can kind of see through, and like if you're really squinting at it, looking at it, you're like, oh yeah, I can kind of see the tube. But when it's like a different color, the brass is like a different color than everything else in the blank, and it just stands out. That's where like the real problem is. Obviously, like if you sand or scratch up the tube, sometimes the surface can look kind of funky under there, but glue splotches can be a problem. But none of that was really an issue in the other blank. Even we added enough color to pretty much obscure the fact that there's a tube in there. But if you really look, you might be able to actually see through. It's always best to just paint the tube. I like to do, I did this on purpose this time, but sometimes I just forget. And, or I don't, I don't have a tube. It's not a kit that I have the powder coated tubes for. And so I can just use the excuse that I'm just checking to see if you can see the tube. In this case, I really wanted to see what did it look like? What do we got going on in here? Wow, I really like that dark gold and robin egg. That is a really good combination. Okay. Give that a little wipey. Move on to our green. Let's see, is there anything else? going on here? Okay. A little from the top side. All right. We'll just... There we go. Move on to the gray. And we will be done. With the polishing papers, that is. Done my first couple painted tubes, but it seems the adhesive isn't consistent. Oh, yeah, there's no way around that. If you're talking about like a totally transparent blank, then the only way to cover up the glue is, because you're going to get splotches, there's just no way to get it even all the way around the thing. There's going to be splotches. The way to cover those up, you're going to have to paint the inside of the blank, actually, and the tube, depending. You might want to do that too. If you do a really good job painting the inside of the blank, then there's really no reason to paint the tube also. It's going to cover it up, but sometimes there could be little windows. The problem is sometimes you scrape off some of that paint when you're putting the tubes in, gluing them in. Sometimes the glue can pull the paint off the inside of the blank in areas. So it's kind of best, like the best case scenario is just paint the tube and the inside of the blank. But that's, like I said, that's for stuff that's like, I'm talking like transparent. Typically, if it's like, I call it translucent, where it's kind of, you know, it's see-through, like you may be able to see the tube a little bit, like identify that that's, oh yeah, that's the tube, but it's not really sticking out. Then you just really need to paint the tubes. Yeah, transparent things, definitely paint the blank. Typically, I kind of think that if you're doing something that's like transparent, like you can see through it completely, it's clear, or, you know, all you did was add a little bit of the translucent red dye or something like that, or definitely didn't put enough mica powder in. For those types of things, honestly, kitless pens are just better, because you don't have to worry about it, the tubes and all that kind of stuff. You will have to paint, or not paint, but you'll have to polish the inside if it's like clear. So it's a little bit of extra work, but they just work so much better for that kind of, for the transparent things. Or if you got a really cool blank, another really cool project that you can use transparent things for is diamond painting pens, because you don't have a tube. You don't drill it out in the center. At least typically, I never did. I would just turn the thing in the middle, and there aren't kits for that kind of thing now, are there? That just seems excessive. But you basically leave the blank intact. The problem with painting the inside of the blank, though, is if let's just say you had like two colors and like clear, literally clear. If you paint it black on the inside, then it's gonna look like you had two colors, like three colors. It's gonna make the appearance of like the blank actually just had black in it. It's hard to explain, but it's gonna change the look of the blank. You know, when you're holding up a blank that's got transparent stuff in it, you're like, oh, that's cool. But if you paint the inside of it, then all those clear spots are going to be black. So it totally changes the look and feel of a blank if you do it that way. That's why I really personally, and you know, I know not everybody's making kitless pens, but if you're gonna make if you're gonna use a transparent blank, that's the by far, if you do make kitless pens, that's the way to use them, or that's the time to use them. Or the diamond painting pens are excellent as well. And Brian makes bushings for TBC pens also. If you want to look into that, they're very popular also. People, those diamond painters, they are serious about their diamond painting pens. I love them. All right, so let's start off with number one. And this is going to transform this immediately. Love the step one. It's probably the most satisfying step because it takes a matte blank and it makes it pretty much polished. So let's get some speed going. Come on, guys. Let's do this. Get that speed. Not too fast. About 1500 is what I run. I like the TBC bushings. The drawback is, you know, on like if you're turning like a cigar or junior or something like that, you can only do one blank at a time. So, you know, there's a drawback to it, but it's more accurate. You just don't have as many points of things that can be running untrue. And that's why I switched way back in the day. I was having problems. Part of the problem was the lathe I was using, but every mandrel I had was bent. Like there just wasn't a mandrel that was, I mean, literally, I bought a brand new one. It was bent out of the box. And I was just like, I'm done with this. So you have the potential for significantly more accuracy because you only got 2 points, and even the fact that you're only doing one. What I would find is the second one. Can you see what I'm doing here? You know, if you had a mandrel and you were turning like a cigar or something like that, and you had, you know, one and then another one, the farther away from the headstock I got, the more the wobble was bad. And so even just the fact that you're only turning one, which you could do this on a mandrel, just turn one, and that would reduce, if something is kind of bent or wobbly, the closer you are to the headstock, the less wobble you're going to get, regardless of how you know, if it's TBC or mandrel. So you could do that, but I really like these things. But the problem I was having was on CA finishes, I kept sanding through the finish, which part of it was was user error kind of, but a lot of it was not user errors because the thing was wobbling and I kept sanding through it. I would sand through one little spot, like a circular spot on the blank, and I'm like, this thing's just not running true. That's not my, like, a user error thing. And so once I switched to TBC bushings, I didn't really have nearly as many problems doing CA finishes. I also got better at doing them, but it solved that burning through, and it was weird. It's not like one all the way around area. I'm talking like one little spot on the blank, and I'm like, that's like literally physically impossible if this thing is running true. That can't happen. So I like them better a little bit, but you know, it is kind of nice to whip through 2 blanks at a time if you're doing 2-piece pens. I will admit that. And there are ways to make the mandrels better these days, but I'm not personally interested in mandrel. I hate mandrels personally, so I'm not switching back, but they have their ups and downs. They have their positives and negatives. Man, this blank is looking shiny. Shiny, shiny. think I did a really good job on the sanding on this one. Yeah, these colors, this is a really good color combination, guys. Just letting you know. That beetle blue, who came up with the beetle blue? Is that Vinny? Who did the beetle blue with, what do we do with red? Interference powder? That was brilliant. That was a good one. Let's see, we're on step 3. I gotta focus here, guys. Forgetting what step I'm on. Yeah, that was a good choice right there. I like that. So I'd definitely be interested in hearing anybody else if you guys play around with interference colors, like mixing weird combinations of things with them. Definitely be interested to hear what, or see if you post them, like what your experiment concludes with. I think mixing some like really random colors together, I think that's probably the best way to go. I don't really know that there's a significant benefit to putting interference powder with the same color. It's fine, it looks fine, but it's not really, it's not really behaving any different than just kind of mica powders and stuff, I don't think. At least the ones we did. But I think if you do like some kind of like odd combinations of things that are totally different, I think that's kind of probably where you're going to get some really interesting surprises. And definitely black with interference powder can produce some awesome looking results. Things that you're probably not really going to see in other just micas. Have a great dinner, Emil. Thanks for joining the fun. Sorry, the camera froze for a while there. It is working still, right? Okay. All right. Actually, we're on step 5 here. I like to switch over to those little microfiber things. 5 and 6. I don't know if it matters. Still not 100% sold on that. But I do know that it's not harming it in any way. All right, so step 5. Let's see here. Yeah, if you're only doing the one tube, the adapters are awesome to convert your regular. You chose it based on the color wheel. Nice. Well, hey, no, that's not cheating. That's being smart. That's being very smart. Yeah, the converter or whatever adapter bushing things are excellent to get into TBC stuff. That way you don't have to buy new, a whole new set. And like I mentioned before, the way that I kind of look at you know, there's a lot of pen kits that I have bushings for, and I turned like one, you know, I turned a pen once with that kit, and like I'm not going to go replace my bushing, you know, I'm not going to go buy TBC bushings for like obscure pen kits that I may or may not ever turn again. So the adapter bushings really make things great because you can, you know, use your existing bushings. But for the, I like to recommend if there's like certain pen kits that you turn a lot of, then just spend the money on the TBC bushings for those, because you're going to get it, instead of having like 2 sets of bushings stacked together, that's going to be a little bit less. It's not a big deal, I mean, but it's going to be a little bit less accurate. You got another 2 points of, you know, wobble where things can be just slightly out of round. So your best bet is just to have like the TBC, you know, the bushings, one set of bushings that actually are for the kit. But like I said, I don't think it's that big of a deal where you have to like replace every single bushing thing in your arsenal. The adapters, they're fine, but things that you do a lot of, you can step it up just one more notch if you just get the bushings made for that kit instead of adapters. All right, step 6. Then we get to put these guys together. We'll see how this one turns out. I don't know. This shape might have been a mistake. We'll have to see once we get the kit, get it on the kit, and see what's going on with this thing. Okay, I think I'm going to call that good. Give it a little wipey. Whew, that is smooth. Yeah, I really did a good job. Did a good job polishing this one. I'm okay. All right, so let's get you guys in here for a close-up. This is a good color combination, guys. Really, really interesting. The way the purple and the blue kind of play with each other, and then that dark gold. Always got to have something contrasty. That's really spectacular. So, can I see some powder? Is the chicken egg blue glowing purple? That's the question, and I don't know yet. I got to hold this thing up a little bit. Let me pick this thing up, hold it up to my eyes a little closer. I'm gonna wipe off the ends here real quick. Okay, so let me, yeah, so the purple, so to me the purple in this, let's get things going here. Try and get the camera set. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. There we go. So this interference, and I don't know if I just changed the amount or something, like I'd have to go look. That feels more interference-y to me, where there's like a little bit of a glow coming off of it. The gold has a little bit, it's doing the interference thing, and it's very straight interference powder, but a little bit of glow maybe coming from that. So let's look at the blue. A little bit. There's a little bit of, you can see, there's areas where the, try and get this thing. There's little areas where you can see there's interference popping out in there, where there's like this glow coming off of it. And I think I did a good job of nailing how much robin egg blue. Like, I think that mixture was a pretty good amount. That's the other thing is I can't give you like a formula of, oh, you know, just put this much liquid pigment, you know, like the opaque pigment in. Every one of them is going to have like a different amount of opacity, so you have to kind of adjust for kind of almost every color. I want to say that we put a good amount of the green in, so you're not really going to see a whole lot of that powder. That's probably why there's really not much of a glow effect in that lime green part. Sorry, I was kind of staring at it. Let me angle this down just a little bit. I think we'll get a better, I think it'll focus a little bit better. That's really nice looking, those colors. It's a good mix too. All right, let's go put these guys together. It's gonna be good. Hopefully my camera won't freeze up again. I did a good job polishing that too. Here we go. Ah, it froze. Dang it. I also updated the software of this. I updated both the operating system software as well as the software for the streaming software thing too. It's a double whammy. Shoot. That's going to be problematic. I kind of knew, like, the problem is what I'm using is 2 cam links to plug into my computer, and most people are like, yeah, that doesn't really work. I got it to work for a while there, but I think I'm going to have to do something different now. Real quick, before I forget, I got to put these bushings back in where they go, otherwise I'm going to not know what the heck they are. Oh, drop them. Okay, got that taken care of. What am I doing here? Oh, I need the kits. Always helps to get the kits if you want to assemble the pen. All right, so let's go for the bolt action since we did that one first. That's a pretty quick assembly. And so I've linked to the bolt action kits as well as the Tiny Giants down in the description below. And do I care which way this one goes? I think I'm going to do this way. Cover up some of that green. There's kind of a blob of green there. So I think we'll break that up with the gun. Okay. The camera's working. Man, things are like way... Oh, I'm not live? What's going on? Okay. Tech support, yeah. Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, I was talking about the thing. The problem is, like I said, I use a mix of HDMI and USB, and today I looked into it because, you know, I remembered that there was, it has been years, probably at least like a year and a half since I've thought about it. And so I looked back into it, and the problem was, yes, there are adapters, but they're like $300 for this stupid little USB to HDMI converter thing or whatever. And I mean, I could just buy another camera for that. Like, you know, it's pretty expensive. Oh, this one's tight. So I just decided to figure out a workaround kind of thing instead. But now I'm running back into problems. So might have to kind of change things up a little bit. Oh, and I found my felt, so eventually I probably should put felt on there. In the meantime, though, because I haven't done that, I'm just going to use a little bit of paper towel just to make sure I don't scratch up the end of the pen there. In fact, I could even put like a little rubber band around this thing if I was feeling MacGyver-ish. We just watched MacGyver. They have it on somewhere. Paramount app. So we watched the first. It's pretty good. I mean, you know, 80s TV shows. It's a little hard to watch, but it was pretty good. I don't think we'll be watching that like every week. I don't think that's something that we can just binge. How does this thing open? What's going on here? Oh, there we go. However, I think we're gonna like rotate in and watch a MacGyver every once in a while. Check it out, you know. Might learn a thing or two from old Mac. All right. Boom. What do you guys think of that? That's pretty nice looking. So again, a lot of the colors in this one, not as interfere-y. Not as, although, I don't know. I am seeing parts of this red that are doing a little bit of that glow effect. There's a little bit of that going on. Definitely here, I can see some of that in the red. So under a little bit different lighting, even the green's doing a little bit of interesting stuff. A little bit more interesting. But I think the other one just has a little bit better overall, like an interference kind of effect going on with the way we did them. All right, so let's see if I totally jacked up this other blank with the shaping. I don't know. Seems like it should work, right? I think it'll work. I think it'll be okay. And so again, the Tiny Giant, and I think hey Amy, isn't Chad doing something with Tiny Giants next week? I think I saw that on the Instagram or on the something. Yeah, I think this will be okay. This stupid thing. I'm gonna go get a rubber band real quick. This is ridiculous. Although I don't have a small rubber band. I think this will work though. Okay, now I don't have to mess with that thing. I think I'll do the front half first. So if you're not familiar with the Tiny Giant, it's a pretty cool kit. It uses just a standard ballpoint, but it has a cap. It's pretty cool. And it's a super budget friendly kit. I think they're like $4 or something like that. This one was going to want to go sideways, I have a feeling. Yeah, I don't know what it is. There we go. There we go. Yeah, I don't know. I think this will be okay. Wasn't sure about the shaping. I was like, I want to do something different. But sometimes doing something different turns into a bad idea, bad decision. Oh, that side went in really easy. Yeah, that's okay. It's a little weird. It's a little weird, but it's okay. And a little cover thing on there. I like to upgrade to those, when if I'm doing these ones, the Parker style rollerball thing, or ballpoints. What are those called? They're like way better ink. I can't think of the name of them. Maybe somebody knows. Yeah, so that's not too bad. I don't mind that too much. A little odd. But if you had a little, I think it looks pretty good, like standing up like this. You probably could have done it the other way also. It's a little weird. I still say that if I was going to do it where the, you hold it this way, I would have wanted the widest diameter of this thing. I would want that set back just a little bit, like right there. But overall, that's not too bad. That's a nice little pen. Not bad, guys. And then this one, really, there's a lot of stuff that's popping out. A lot of stuff happening. And I don't know if you guys could see. There is a little bit of, again, I think that I would want to try this robin egg blue with the violet interference without another violet looking thing. That would definitely tell us what's going on with that. But I really felt like there was some areas where it was popping out, like right in this right there somewhere. Where are we at here? Right there. That's where I was seeing a little bit of interfering. It's hard to tell that all these, I got all these lights and they're kind of shine. This is just not working. There we go. I don't know if that's coming through. There's definitely a little bit of glow coming off, of a purple glow on top of the blue right there. The question is that because there's a little bit of that beetle blue violet, or I think it's the violet interference that we put in the, or beetle blue red, I should say. I think it's the violet stuff coming through. I don't know, guys. I like these colors though. So hopefully, some of these experiments kind of gave you some ideas on how you can use interference powders and like what kind of things you're going to get out of combining things with them and using them. Now, again, we didn't use just interference powder in any of this. So we have done that in the past though. So this doesn't help if you wanted to use interference powder alone. Obviously this isn't going to tell you what that's doing, but they're interesting. That you can get some really weird effects depending on how you use them. And again, I think the big thing that what I think of first with interference powders is two things. Is if you're just putting interference powder in the blank, it creates this, it looks kind of milky white, if you don't add anything else with it. It's going to look kind of milky white, but then it's going to have this kind of glow. So interference red it's going to have this glowing effect that where the color red is like above the blank or above the material itself. That's kind of what it looks like. Like I call it a glow. So you got that if you don't do anything with it, and then if you put it next to a dark color, it really zings out that whatever interference red or green or blue or whatever it is. And so we added that black, and this gold is just like it really pops out, and it darkened it. So the gold one is kind of an interesting interference gold. To me is a little bit slightly different. It feels more like a mica powder to me than all the other interference or ghost, whichever way you want to call it. The gold is slightly different. To me, it acts a little bit more mica powder-ish, just like a normal general one. But the other ones do that kind of glowy thing, and if you add color to them, they just pop out at you, just like in the abalone blanks and all that stuff. You get a lot more of that, whatever color, purple or red or whatever, kind of popping out at you. So let's see here. No, not the cross. They're I'm gonna go get it because I really like these things. They write better. A lot better. Something 2000 or PR, I don't know. Easy flow. That might be what it's called. I think it's called an easy flow. I don't even know if I have one. I should have one. There they are. Easy Flow 9,000. It's like the Binford 50,000. Easy Flow 9,000. I really like these ones. They feel almost like I mean, it almost feels like a rollerball-ish kind of. I don't know. The ink is just, it definitely flows better. It's more like a gel or a, I don't know. I don't know that much about all these inks, but I like these ones better, personally, for the Parker style. And it's made by Schmidt, I guess. That's upside down. Easy Flow 9,000. It's not really not wanting to. There we go. Easy Flow 9,000, Schmidt. I like these things. They just write a little bit better. They don't look any different or anything, but the ink just kind of comes out much nicer. And I mean, really, guys, the other tip, I guess, we don't really mention this. If I was to sell this pen like that, the ink that came in the package, that's going, I may give it to the person like as a spare or something like that, but I always replace it with like a real ink, because a lot of times those ones that come in the kits are just junk. So that's one little tip. I would recommend that you upgrade. If you're selling pens, give them a good ink, you know, get like a true Schmidt or something, you know, whatever. If it's a rollerball, like go get the real inks and load those. The thing is, it just does you a favor as like the seller or person giving it. Maybe not as much if you're just gifting it to somebody, I guess, or giving it away, but definitely if you're selling it, because those inks just work longer and better. And so your pen's going to feel better to that customer in general. And I usually toss in like 1 or 2 refills too. They can be expensive, I know that, but it's not bad. I think overall it's going to feel better. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm not sure if I love the shape. It's not like something that I'm like, oh, you know what I really need is a pen with a big bottom. But, you know, E88. Well, it's just a Parker, whatever. But it's the Easy Flow. I really like those. So, you know. So yeah, loving the colors. Again, I don't know. I just thought I'd do something different. I always do the same shapes. And it is kind of interesting. I mean, I don't know. It does look kind of like a little vase. Pour something out. Anyway, guys. So, again, next week we will be down in Phoenix. We will be at Turner's Warehouse. It's going to be awesome. If you cannot make it out, if you're in the Phoenix area, definitely stop by. It's free. And you can hang out, meet some people, see what's going on. Buy some goodies at Turner's Warehouse and eat some food. They're going to be barbecuing some burgers too. So, I mean, if you're hungry, just stop by Turner's Warehouse Saturday. If you cannot make it out though, they are going to be streaming the, the sessions. I'm doing one and there's a whole thing. Like, let me find the open house stuff. I'm just going to drop a link if you want to check out all the timing and all that kind of stuff. It's on the Turner's Warehouse website. So that's the wrong one. Hold on a minute, guys. Hold on, I almost put the wrong link. Let's put the right link here. So yeah, check out the times. All that stuff's on their website, and they're going to be streaming the what do you call it, like the presentations or whatever, on the Turner's TV YouTube channel. So make sure to subscribe to that and check that out. So Friday and Saturday next week. And if you're going to be there, I'll see you there. It's going to be pretty fun. Yeah, it'll be kind of a quick trip though. We had to get back in town, but we're going to be there both days. So it'll just be kind of a quick turnaround for us for the travel stuff. But anyway, so I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the evening. Have a great rest of the weekend. Hopefully you'll get in the shop and make something this weekend and have a little bit of fun. And other than that, guys, I will see you. So we are not having a stream next week for everybody that's not showing up. So again, just tune into the Turner's TV. That'll be replacing my stream, and then we'll be back in the shop the next week pouring some more blanks. And yeah, so I guess until next time, guys, I hope you have a great night, and I'll see you guys on the next stream.